Hey guys, Al here, Vitalize Seed. I hope everybody's having a good day. So today, how to plant Nitro Boost and or how to plant a food plot. Um, with every one of these behind me here, there's going to be pros and cons. I'm not going to get into the weeds on that. I've done a lot of other videos and probably will do additional ones on kind of the pros and cons of, say, tillage or spray or whatnot. But on this video, I want to keep it somewhat brief and just hit on how to plant a food plot, or what are at least some options. I probably forgot something. But number one is kind of your conventional tillage seed pack. That's very, very normal, or has been for many, many years. Obviously, we all know there's pros and cons to tillage, but we're not going to get into that here. That is just, you're going to either disc or use a tiller. You're going to fluff the ground up. You're going to put your seed down, and you're going to pack that seed in, and or drag it in. Do whatever you can to get that seed covered, and pray that rain comes so that you can maintain a good level of seed coverage and get good germination. The next, obviously, there's been a large movement with no-till drills, which is a great tool to use if you have access to one. And then that comes in with, well, how are you going to terminate the crop that was already there? And that's going to be your no-till drill and spray. So if you're not against using herbicide, or you're not anti-herbicide, or you're okay with using it on occasion or whatnot, that is a good option for you. I like to spray first, let it dry, and then drill right through. But depending on the level of thatch and all that, you can figure out what works best for you if you want to drill first and then spray, or whatever order of operations works best on your farm. For those who are not interested in spraying and or just don't have access to be able to spray or access to a drill or whatnot, there's broadcast then mow. I love this method. It works really, really well. It is a little bit messy. You're not going to get 100% termination like you would with an herbicide. The other thing about broadcasting and then mowing is I would increase your seeding rate ever so slightly. I mean, it really depends on what the previous crop was, but by increasing your seeding rate, you're going to help to outcompete some of those things that are not terminated 100%. It is going to be a little bit of a messier look, so keep that in mind when you go back and evaluate that field. That although it's messy, it's still probably feeding a lot of wildlife. I definitely would make sure to hang up a camera and or an exclusion fence, excuse me. Obviously, there's a big movement again for kind of the no-till food plots. You know, guys want to spray and then seed. I like that operation. Mode of operation for that as well. Again, spray it, let it dry, go in an hour, a day later. If it's just glyphosate that you're spraying, you can seed the same day. If you are spraying something else, please make sure you're reading the label so you understand if there's residual impacts. But that works very, very well, especially if you get some moisture relatively soon. If you do want to roll or pack that afterwards, you certainly can do so, but don't do it first. If you do it first and you're trying to put seed over top, it's going to all be sitting on top, a bunch of dead thatch. You want to seed with everything standing up. So if you spray it, then seed through there, and then roll it or mow it off, that's much better to get that seed covered. You have a much better success rate. Drill and then mow, same idea. Drill, wait a day, wait a half a day, whatever stands back up, go back in there with that bush hog, and just chop it up. You're going to get 60 to 80% termination depending on the crop species that are there. Of course, there's crimping. So you can drill and then crimp, or as discussed above, if you don't want to spray, you could broadcast and then crimp if you have access to a crimper, be it homemade or some of the commercial ones that are out there. That's another good option. Again, you're probably going to get anywhere from 65 to 90% termination depending on the crop species, timing of planting, etc. So keep that into mind when you factor in your seeding rate. And then, of course, the last one that I just mentioned, broadcast and then crimp. So same idea as we've talked about, broadcasting into there and then going ahead and crimping in order to use that as termination method. So these are just a few ways that you can plant a food plot. I'm sure, like I said, I probably missed one or two, but these are some of the ones that I use. The one that I did not mention on here that I probably should have is the drill and drive away, or the broadcast and drive away. So with the Vitalize 1-2 system, you have Nitro Boost in the spring, carbon load in the fall. Carbon load is going to come back this spring now that I planted in the fall. It's going to be very tall. I've had great success in years just filling up the whirlybird spreader when I was running out of time and I knew a rain was coming. I filled that spreader up with an acre or two of seed to put on an acre field and just spread it all over the place. And I had beans and peas and oats and clovers and everything else coming up right inside of the carbon load. Sure, it was messy, but the deer didn't mind at all, and certainly the soil didn't. So that's a method. I've also done it years where my nitro boost or carbon load looked really, really good, and I had the access to my no-till drill, and I was able to just drill right through it. It lays down that thatch. Certainly some stuff pops up, but it did not impact the quality of the field or the growth at all. Actually, if anything, it probably benefited it to have more diversity and more diverse root structures in that soil profile for the few things that did make it and pop back up. Like, for example, the sorghum. Deer came by and ate the heads off the sorghum anyways. So those are a couple additional methods as well. The most important thing, guys, if you're on a tractor or whatnot, four-wheeler, be safe. Surely enjoy your farms. If you like this stuff, please share, subscribe, and follow along. And check us out at vitalizeseed.com.